Hey crafters, I'm back with another video tutorial to show you how I created some of my Christmas cards. So you'll see here what I'm showing you first is just all the different patterns, and I've mounted those onto coordinating cardstock. So I call that designer series paper piece, I call that the panel, and then I create a frame from the cardstock. So that measurement can vary in size, but I use a standard size for that, and I'll post that in another video. Here I have created a cutout using my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, all of the pieces that are included in this die set, and I've cut them in, so all the pieces I cut in Mossy Meadow, then again in Misty Moonlight, then again in the Polished Pink, Blushing Bride, Crumb Cake, and Mint Macaron. So I'm just playing around with how the pieces coordinate together and how they sit and nestle over the top of each other. So this is quite fun, and this is probably the bit that I enjoy the most, just playing around with all the pieces. So I've got some bits together here, and on this sort of plain looking background I'm going to mount up all of the pieces and trees, Christmas trees. Now some of you may not have ever stamped before, and so I've kept this part of the video in to show you how I mount my stamps. So this one here hasn't been mounted to the stickers, which shows you what stamp you're using. So each stamp set that is rubber like this comes with a sticker sheet so that you can see what stamp it is. So when you're stamping it, you know which one you're using, as some of them do coordinate, you know, over the top of each other, like this one here. And usually I would suggest stamp then cut, but for this one, which is just like a polka dot background, it doesn't fit the whole cutout, so I cut first and then I'm going in with the polka dots. Next colour up is Polished Pink, and again I would typically suggest you stamp then cut so you can cut around nicely, but here I'm just eyeballing it, and that I guess comes just down to experience. So I'm going to use some liquid glue to start sticking all of the pieces down. And I try not to go too close to the edge because you don't want the glue to seep out. If it does, there is a fix for that, but it's best avoided. So just layering these trees down, some here, some there. And kind of making it up as I go along, really. This video is a little bit longer than my normal, what I would normally post up, but I just thought it might be interesting for you to see sort of the whole process. And so we'll follow this card from start to finish. So gluing all the bits down, again I'm using my liquid glue. There is a runner tape glue, adhesive I should say, that is great for adding those panels, sticking all the panels together to the frames. But some of these little intricate pieces I prefer to use the liquid glue, and it gives you a bit of wiggle room, so you've got time to move the pieces around. And I think I've stuck a clear block over the top just to hold that piece down, as there's not a lot of glue holding it together because it is so intricate. Awesome. So I'm just bringing out a little bucket of scraps. So I keep my scraps in these little tubs, and if it's big enough to fit in the tub, it goes in the tub. If it's bigger than the tub, it goes back in the packet, in the cardstock packet. And whenever I'm creating a sentiment or I need a cutout of something, I'll always go to the scraps bucket first. If I've got it in that color and it fits, perfect. If not, I don't want to be cutting up a whole A4 sheet when I don't need to. And believe me, you do get a lot of scraps. There's a lot of scraps and bits and pieces, so it's definitely worth keeping. So I've stamped a greeting, I believe, there. So the recording piece is just hovering over what I can see. And I always like to do the recording after anyway. It's a bit more interesting and a bit more succinct. If I'm trying to explain as I'm trying to craft, you'll usually get like a very choppy, almost incoherent conversation along the way. And I don't always know what I'm doing is the other thing. I don't always know in advance how a card is going to turn out or how I want it to look. It often does change halfway through. So I'm going to cut around the sentiment, and I've stamped it in, I think I stamped it in Mossy Meadow to start with, and I don't really like how it looked. So definitely in Misty Moonlight it looks a lot brighter, and there's a lot more ink in the ink pad as it's a brand new one. That said though, ink pads last a really long time, and I've had my ink pads for the 10 years that I've been with Stampin' Up. I haven't needed to replace any. So that's been, that really good testament to their quality. The Mossy Meadow though, I must have overused it at some point, so it will need re-inking. And instead of buying a whole new brand new ink pad, you can just buy the re-inker. So little bottles, about $5.95 to re-ink your ink pads, so you don't need to fork out for a whole new case. So I'm still playing around with the sentiment and still not happy with how it looks. So here we go. This is the process though. This is what I go through. So I know at the end of the day, you see a finished card and you kind of go, oh, but this is the process. I will chop it, I will change it, I will re-stamp it, I'll recut it. But that's what crafting is. It's about, having fun while you're doing it. It's not just about the end product at the end of the day. And again, I'm using a strip of scrap paper that I had, scrap cardstock in Blushing Bride. And what you'll see me do here is with the punch, I've already punched out each end of it. And I think I've stamped it twice here just so I can pick and choose which one looks best. But this punch here is great because you could use a strip of paper and create a label any size you need it to be. So you're not restricted with that, and you just cut the ends off to make the edges nice and pretty. But you'll see me just bring it back in a few times, and you'll see me turn it upside down, as that way you can see what you're punching. But I'll just keep going until I get the desired length and the right amount of space around the sentiment. That's it. So all those little extra pieces I'll bin, but I do prefer the cutout, I think, the one that I cut out in the end. You'll have to know who was the lucky recipient of this card. I've lost track of who I posted cards out to and who I hand delivered cards to. I've forgotten who got this one, so tag me, let me know if it was you. So I've got 3 different sentiments now, still deciding which one I'm going to use, and just sort of fiddling around there with the final sort of decorations. I think I've made my choice. And surely I can't be alone. I can't be the only one who does this. This is, what I feel is like the fun part, deciding how it's going to look and which label looks best, which decorations look good. And you'll see what I added on the back of the sentiment were dimensionals. So for my new people, foam dimensionals are sticky on both sides, so you can raise and create more of a 3D image with your cards. Awesome. So I think I've finally decided that's what I'm doing. I'll just create a quick bow with some twine and add that just behind the sentiment. I'm so lucky that with twine you don't have to fuss too much over how that bow looks. Whenever I make a bow with a thicker ribbon on camera, it never works out. Never ever. I have to fuss over it for so long. So often if I'm adding a bow, I'll usually have it already made, because off camera I can make them quickly, easily. So I'm just going to add on some, I think I go with the pearls in the end here, but I've got lots of different embellishments and gems and jewels to add on, and all of the Stampin' Up! Ones come with a little adhesive dot. So you literally just need to pick it up and add it to the card. So no fussing with liquid glues or anything like that, which makes it really easy. And also you don't want extra glue seeping out from under if you accidentally add too much. What you'll see me doing here is I've got my alcohol markers, and the alcohol markers are really fun tool to have. They completely have changed my colouring creativity. But what you'll see me doing here is on these, they're silver looking rhinestones, I've added colour to them to match the colours of the card by just colouring it over the top of them with the alcohol markers. Really cool technique. Another technique, you can also do it with Sharpies. But this way, because the colours all match between cardstocks, inks, all of the markers, the ribbons, everything matches within Stampin' Up, I can coordinate the gems to the colours of the card. Awesome. So just popping them all back as I go. I try and keep a clean desk where possible. I must show you the craftermath of a session. Final stage of the card is to glue this panel to the card base. In this instance, it's a piece of thick white cardstock. And that's it. The card's all ready to go. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you again soon.